Prime Minister Scott Morrison hasn't always scored massive points through this COVID period, but he has done something right. Hi, I'm Stuart, CEO of Studium, and today we want to talk about some of the steps the federal government have taken to try and reinvigorate our international student market. In a couple of states, Victoria as an example, education is one of their primary exports, so you can imagine the impact COVID had when international students could no longer get into the country to study at our universities and tertiary institutions. Some of these losses have reached up into the billions of dollars, so it's critical that as borders open, we do everything we can to bring international students back into our economy and into our institutions to A, not only reinvigorate that space, but B, to provide a needed influx of talent and labour into our market where labour shortages are really taking grip. There were 6 funded initiatives announced by the federal government, and yes, some of them weren't particularly exciting, but let's talk about a couple that should have a real impact on the Australian economy and how you as an employer can tap into that. There are 2 that really stood out to me of particular interest. The first one was pumping money into university-delivered vocational courses. When we think vocational courses, our mind often leads us to some of the traditional trades that we all grew up with: carpentry, electrician, plumber, etc., etc. What we've seen in recent time is a demand from the market for non-university vocational style training courses. Perhaps the greatest example of this is in the technology space, where young people are flocking towards cybersecurity. It's massively in demand. We've seen through some of these crises coming out of Russia big attempts to hack software and systems, as well as more organisations taking both their business and their operations online. Courses like cybersecurity need to be leading edge, they need to be accessible, and young people undertaking those courses are almost immediately employable. So it makes sense that the government puts money into this space to attract international students to take up these courses. The interesting thing about micro-credentials is more and more people are looking to consume them. They're typically easier to undertake than a full-blown university course. They can often be done self-paced, so you can pick them up in your spare time, after hours, or during your lunch break. And they're cheaper. In most instances, they stack to then give you a broader range of credits, work towards a university degree, and they're dynamic. They change, they're readily available, and they're exactly how young people want to consume. The second initiative, which is quite interesting, is investing money into overseas providers. This allows providers to deliver their training or learnings onshore in partner countries. So yes, we have international students, but they may be learning Australian content in their own country. This safeguards us in the event of another pandemic, God forbid, and allows the students to continue consuming our information and making them employable within Australia's shores. I remember back in the day running graduate programs where international students were always moved towards the back of the pile because of visa restrictions or limits around the time that they could actually undertake the role. This has changed in recent times with restrictions lifted, but also employers more open to employing the very best talent that's available, whether they be international or domestic students. As an employer, you need to find the talent wherever it may lie. So these initiatives to bring bright young people or students into our country is a great thing for Australia. We're working with numerous international high schools completing Australian education to assist our institutions and employers bring them into our country and access the very best talent. www.studium.work. Cool. No, it sounds stupid. What's that? That was good. I know what I want to say. As well as reliance on more and more organised... I just went all over the shop there. What is that smell?